Good morning, everyone. We're going to do this wonderful winter scene. One of our students, Fred, brought this photo in, which is great. It's really all about that wonderful stream and the red that's in there. So we'll start with a little phthalo blue up in the sky. I'm just going to keep it right to the left side and then soften that edge, pull it over with water. There's a little house in the photo that I'm going to ignore back there. Okay, I'm going to give you a little lesson on making grays here. And grays are always made with three colors, red, yellow, and blue. So I'm going to show you. This happens to be Windsor yellow, but you can use any yellow, or any red and any blue, but you need to know what's in those colors. Here's a rose. This is quinacridone rose, and this is cobalt blue. Now I'm using cobalt blue because it's a neutral blue. So those are the three colors: yellow, rose, and blue, and you mix those. So you've seen me do the three color skies, and I always start with the yellow, and then I drop the rose on. Now there's the rose on top of the yellow. We're looking for a warm orangey color. Now that's too much red, too much rose there. So we want to bring it back to a warm orangey color. So I'm adding a little more yellow to it. And you can see now we're much closer to an orangey color. Give it a chance to run down. Adding a little more yellow to it. Now we're really in the orange field, which is exactly what we want. Okay, so now we're going to add the cobalt blue to it. So I'm dropping the blue on top of the orangey color. Now that should make a gray, but if it's not perfect yet, what's going to happen is you're going to get, in this case, we're getting a bluish, sort of a bluish gray. We want it to be more of a cool gray, so I'm going back with a little rose. That will give us a violet now. Okay, this is why it's so important to know your complements. And there's now I got two. And this is what happens all the time when you're mixing a gray. And the more experience you get with it, the better it's going to get and the easier it's going to get. So now we're back to a rose. We want to do this complement of a rose is yellow. But I'm going to make it more of a violet, so now I'm putting blue back on there. And now there's too much blue, but it's more violet here than it was. And that's the complement of violet is yellow. So I'm dropping a little bit of yellow on top of that blue, and you can see now we're back to a gray. And that's exactly what we're looking for. All right, this is just a gray. This is a gray, and now you know how to make gray, so that's very easy for you. A little yellow, little rose, little blue. That's almost a perfect neutral gray, so you can make it any way you want. If you want it cooler, obviously a little more blue, a little more red, whatever. All right? You can push that. Obviously, you're mixing it with those three colors, so we're going to push it towards a warm color here. I added a little bit of quinacridone sienna there, and just to keep it nice and warm on that side. And then I'm going to leave it as a snowbank on the left side there. So I'm just using some water to soften the edge and pull it over. So it looks like some snow in the background. All right, let's take some ultramarine and a little bit of, not a little bit, but quite a bit of cadmium red. We're going to paint that stream. It's a very deep, almost black color, but it's really a violet. It's a very deep violet. And we're going to charge it up with the cadmium red. So just paint the shape of the stream. We can look at the photo here, get an idea. What's really important here is you understand, you're painting the shape of the stream, which is great, But we're going to go back and paint the edges of the snow, which is really important because the edge is, 2 or 3 inches, 4 inches thick, and there's a shadow on that, and that's what gives you that height, that shadow. So it's important to understand that. All right, so we're going to paint the whole stream here. Take your time, mix up some cadmium red and ultramarine blue to get that deep violet, okay? And then we will add more red to push it as we charge it up. Take your time, just paint that beautiful shape of the stream. This is the whole painting here, so you want to take your time. It doesn't have to be exact, as the photo, but enjoy it. Nice, rich, deep violet color. Yeah, just look at the photo and work this out. It doesn't have to be perfect. You're not looking to do a portrait of the scene. You're looking to get the idea of this beautiful stream going through the snow and seeing the red. The red is wonderful. What the red tells you is that the light is going through the water and hitting the ground underneath that water, which is very hot and warm and red. And so you're seeing the reflection, or you're really seeing the reflection of the earth beneath the surface there. So charge that red, add plenty of red. And, it's all, earth is so different every time you see it. It could be, a warm sand or whatever, but in this case, it's reflecting as a beautiful red, warm light. And that's what we're looking at here. So, and remember that this again is the, this is the photo, and this is what the painting's about. It's that beautiful stream and that warm, rich color. So add plenty, don't be afraid of it, mix it in. There's that, looks like I have too much, but it's that when you put it on, it's striking. It's very bright, and but when it dries, it really dries and calms down and just looks beautiful. It really warms up the color. You don't have to worry about putting too much in there. Put plenty in there and keep it nice and warm. All right, I mixed up a little gray here to do some little gray spots here and there throughout the whole snow field that's around the stream. So this, it was just a little bit of ultramarine and a little bit of rose. And this is the color for the tree now. The trees, what I did was I just took the same color that we had and added a little bit of quinacridone sienna to it. So it's not as red, but it's still warm. It's still a nice warm dark color, almost black. Okay, and just what you want to pay attention to here is the way the snow is hitting the tree and staying on the tree. So there's a pattern of snow. The right side of that tree has none on it, so you can go straight down with your brush and then take your time and paint around the snow on the left side of the tree. And we'll go back and color that with a violet later on. Notice that there's a slant in that tree. It slants to the right. On the top side is slanting to the right, and that gives it a nice feel. That's a nice sort of homey feel to it, where the wind has worked on that tree and pushed it to the right. All right, that adds a little bit of nice touch to it. And as you come down, you paint around the way the snow is lifting up on the base of the tree as well. It's a sweet painting. It really is. It's a nice painting. It has a nice feel to it. It's winter, but it's a nice warm feel of the winter. It's a happy feel like the sun is shining. It's great. All right, there's a little tree to the right of that tree. Now notice that that tree comes in front of the other tree, so that just means you bring the trunk down a little further. Then we have a couple more trees on the left side. Give it a little wiggle. It's not like straight, shooting straight. And that tree is behind this tree, so you stop it a little early, and it's a little lighter, you can see. In value, it's a little lighter in value, so it goes back a little bit. All right, now here we have, I'm putting some branches on the tree here. So I'm just using a lighter color. Yeah, just check out the photo and you can see where the branches are. But you can make up your own. You know, that's what I'm saying. This, you know, we're not tied to that photo. We're just using that photo for inspiration. And as you do every photo, you know, when you're painting, unless you're doing a portrait of something, or, you know, you really want to make it exact. You're doing a commission. Someone wants their house painted, but you know, this normally you're just using a photo for inspiration, and you're not trying to do an exact portrait of that. This, you want to have fun with it. You know, you want to enjoy it. Okay, so there's the violet. What I'm doing there is I'm using some ultramarine blue. I'm putting that down, and then you can see here I'm dropping some Windsor blue on top of it while it's wet. You want to do that while it's wet, so you get nice soft edges all along there. And now what I'm going to do is go back and touch it with a damp brush, and what that does is it lifts up some of the blue, and it gives you're creating the idea that the snow is going up and down. You know, every time you change the value in the snow, it tells you that there's a shift in the you know, the plane, and just the way the snow is settling on the earth there gives you all those cracks and crevices in the snow. So there's a little violet I dropped, and then some phthalo blue on top for the shadow for the other tree. And then I'm using some of this violet to do the far edge of all the snow, and that will show you the height of the snow. So it's 3 or 4 inches high, and that gives you that edge. And finally, I'm just mixing a black color using some quinacridone sienna with the ultramarine to run around the edge of the stream to show that really deep shadow and depth of the sand. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. I love this. I love winter scenes anyway, and I want to thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you again very soon.